Imagine this. Your plane crashes into a remote tropical island. No radios, no medkits, just wreckage, jungle, and one of your fellow survivors has a deep, festering leg wound. No antibiotics, no help coming, and the infection is spreading. In a few days, they might die, unless you can do the impossible. Can you make penicillin from scratch? In a world without antibiotics, even a simple cut could kill. Before the 20th century, bacterial infections like staph, strep, or even a scraped knee gone wrong claimed countless lives. That all changed because of one moldy Petri dish. In 1928, Scottish scientist Alexander Fleming noticed something strange. A Petri dish of Staphylococcus bacteria was contaminated with mold, and the bacteria around it had been killed off. That mold, Penicillium nototum, the first source of penicillin. Fleming realized this mold was producing a substance that killed bacteria. He called it penicillin. But the challenge is making enough to treat people. On the eve of World War II, a team led by Howard Florey, Ernst Chain, and Norman Heatley picked up where Fleming left off. With war raging and soldiers dying from infected wounds, they raced to develop a method to mass-produce penicillin. Their efforts changed medicine forever, but more on that later. Back to our island. In a survival situation, your best shot is to find and grow penicillin-producing mold. So what do you need? First, you'd need to find the right mold. The same penicillium mold that saved millions isn't rare. It can be found on old bread, rotting citrus fruits like oranges and lemons, damp soil, and decaying vegetation in humid environments, especially in the shade. You'd search for mold with a blue-green color and a powdery or velvety texture. Not all mold is safe, though. Some, like Aspergillus, produce deadly toxins. So you'd need to be cautious, observant, and desperate. Once you've collected moldy samples, you would try to isolate them. This means growing them on a fresh, nutrient-rich surface to see how they behave. In a modern lab, you'd use Petri dishes and agar. On an island, you'd improvise. You could boil starch from plants or use animal bones to make a crude gelatin. Pour that into something like a coconut shell or a piece of broken debris and let it cool. Then you place your mold sample on one side and a sample of bacteria on the other. Where would you get bacteria? In a survival situation, that's easy. The infected wound itself. Swabbing pus or fluid from an infected injury gives you plenty. Then comes the test. If the mold is producing penicillin or any antibacterial compound, you might see something incredible. Around the mold, the bacteria stops growing. A clear ring forms where nothing else lives. That's called a zone of inhibition, and that's what Alexander Fleming saw in 1928. It means the mold is doing something. It's producing a substance deadly to bacteria. But this is where things get dangerous. Even if you grow the right mold, it doesn't mean it's safe to use. Purifying penicillin is complex. In World War II, scientists struggled for years to isolate and concentrate it safely. In a survival situation, you wouldn't purify it. You'd be using it raw, and that means risk. But if infection is winning, and you have no other options, you might try using the mold directly. In the early days, before injections, penicillin was sometimes applied topically. You'd take the mold-soaked medium and apply it gently to the wound, hoping it slows or stops the infection. It wouldn't be precise. It wouldn't be clean. But it might save a life. Back in the real world, the race to mass-produce penicillin during World War II changed everything. Scientists discovered a better strain of penicillium on a cantaloupe in Peoria, Illinois. With the help of American labs and fermentation tanks, they began producing penicillin by the gallon. By 1944, wounded soldiers were surviving infections that would have killed them just a few years earlier. Fleming, Florey, and Chain would win the Nobel Prize, and antibiotics would reshape human life expectancy. Even on a deserted island, knowledge is power. A little mold, a little science, a little history. Maybe, just maybe, you would survive. Please don't try this at home, folks. Go to see your doctors for your leg wounds. Subscribe, like, and follow. For more stories where history meets survival,